This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville Podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
And now, your host of the Ballsville Podcast, survivor of 162 Florida tornadoes, Scott Fitzgerald.
Are you ready for some football?
Yes, thank you, Sarah, for that. I am back. I am your host, Scott Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Lutz for Sale.
Scott, I didn't know you were a weather chaser in your previous career.
Apparently I am. So welcome on in, gang, to another episode of the Ballsville Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the Ballsville Games. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. Yes, I am back. I survived Milton. The gods must have watched over my home. I prayed a lot, and it spared my home. Just some down trees in the yard, and everything else kind of no broken windows, no nothing. We in Mulberry, where my home is, they said it was the worst winds ever in that area, which they clocked the winds at 110 miles an hour. So, so just thank the Lord that my home's still is still up, but there are a lot of people in Florida that were affected, and we feel really, really bad for them. So please pray for them. The whole state of Florida looks like it got nuked with the tornadoes, the hurricanes. It's going to be a lot of cleanup. It's probably going to take years before some of these areas, come back to where they were before the hurricanes. So please put out a prayer for everybody in Florida. But okay, so for some good stuff, I'll introduce you to my panel, my co-host. He's Bill's Mafia. He's got a little bit of the beardish going. He's S-Clem. He is Sean. What's up, Sean?
Not much, buddy. How you doing?
And the powder blue Los Angeles Chargers. Let's bolt up. What's up, Sarah M21? Welcome
What's
in.
up?
Doing double duty. Not only is she on the pod today, but she is also producing. So welcome in, Sarah.
Thank you. Just
right.
glad to see that you're back.
Yes. I'm glad to be back. So welcome in, Zoobs. Zoobs is in the chat. All right. What we're going to do today.
He says you call that a beard.
Yeah. It takes Zoobs like 3 days to grow a beard. Like
I know, right? Meanwhile, this is like 3 months worth of growth over here.
Yeah. So we'll get into some injuries. I'm just going to do a whip around on guys that are in and out for you guys. I'll start with the quarterbacks. So basically, all these guys are active this week. So Herbert, Fields, Richardson, Rattler gets the start. Aiden O'Connell gets the start. Drake May gets his first start. And Mayo Levis is back in the lineup. For the running backs, Stevenson's out. Brian Robinson's definitely a game time decision, but he was at that game time last week too, and he ended up playing. As we saw on Thursday, Mason got hurt with the shoulder. We'll talk about that later. Who his replacement might be next week if he is out. Kamara's active. Rashid White, this is a big one. He's out. So fire up Bucky Irvin. He may take that job over down the line. Who knows? To me, in my opinion, he looks like the better back. Zamir White, awful year. Big disappointment. He is out. Joe Mixon's back in. Nick Chubb, he's probably a week out, but he is definitely practicing. Both Chase Brown and Zach Moss are both active. Singletary's active, but they'll probably still sprinkle in a little bit of Tyrone Tracy, who looked really good. Jalen Warren is questionable. He might play. You might want to monitor that situation. JT is out. This is something that we'll talk about after I run through the James Cook situation. We'll go to our Bills Mafia expert, Sean, for that advice. Devontae Adams is out. Christian Watson is limited. Looks like he's going to play. Pretty sure Shakir's out. We'll go to Sean over that analysis. Josh Downs and Michael Pittman are both going to be out. So fire up Pierce and A.D. Mitchell in this matchup. Malik Neighbors did not clear concussion protocol, even though he was at a concert the other day, which is pretty weird how you can go to a concert with a concussion with all that noise and then you can't play. So that's kind of weird. And Zoop says Pittman says he's going to play. Well, we'll see. Today it looked pretty doubtful, but we will definitely look into that. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are both back. And as far as the tight ends, Ingram's back. Tucker Kraft is now active. And Taysom Hill is out, which is unfortunate because of the rookie quarterback being in. Taysom Hill probably would have got some more run. So that is your whip around, and I'm going to go to Bills Mafia Sean, and because we have some things to talk about, Sean. Let us know about Shakir, and then also let us know, is it Ty Chandler or is it Ray Davis? If it looks like it's looking like Cook's got possibly a turf toe, which could be a couple-week injury.
Yeah. Everything I've read about like Cook, I was just checking to make sure I hadn't gotten any updates that I didn't read yet this morning, and I haven't. So, as far as I know, right now, Khalil Shakir and James Cook both did not practice, and they're basically probably just going to be game time decisions. It might help that we're playing on Monday night because for Khalil specifically having that ankle, I think he might have a better shot. But I feel like Cook is definitely going to be out. This is just me personally. I haven't heard anything yet. And I think that, like you said, it could potentially bleed even to another week after that, just because he's been fighting this turf toe a little bit. And I think it's kind of at a point where they're like, look, we want him here in the long run healthy. So they'll be willing to give him the time he needs to try to move past this. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't cautiously sit him anyway for 2 weeks, even if he's like feeling slightly better by the time next week rolls around. I think if it comes down to it, Ty Johnson's the guy to go with, man. I think he is definitely the back that's like got the number 2 role right now. I think Ray, they just don't have enough confidence in Ray as far as, in my opinion, pass protection really is like the biggest thing that I think they don't have confidence in him in yet. And just understanding the offense yet as a rookie, I think he's still kind of just getting all that under his belt. So to me, Johnson's the guy that they're going to run with. And I think if he ends up being like the main guy, it'll still be a slight committee, but it'll be definitely Johnson, the fantasy wise, is the one that you want to play, in my opinion.
Okay. If you're a Shakir owner and you decide you want to roll the dice, is there anybody in that Bills offense where if you had to make a late swap, who you could go to? Because our lineups are locked at that point. You can't pick anybody up on the waiver wire on Mondays. So anybody on the Jets or Bills that you could do a swap out if Shakir's out?
So minus the guys that are probably not available, like a Dalton Kincaid. Like, yeah. I mean, well, he would have to be in your flex role either way. But, I would say, I hate to say it because he's been horrible, but, Curtis Samuel would probably be the next guy. Keon, I assume, is already on another roster. So, he wouldn't be an option for you to swap in. If he is, definitely Keon's your number 1 choice. But, I would have to lean probably Curtis Samuel or Mac Hollins if you're not 100 on Samuel. I think either one of those guys, you're taking the same roll of the dice with. So whichever one you prefer is fine with me. On the Jets side, maybe Mike Williams if you can snag him if he's still available.
Zubicus says Lazard, but Lazard's owned. He's owned.
Yeah, Lazard was going to be my next guy too, and I think the same thing. The odds of him being available are slimmer, so you might have to roll in like on a Mike Williams or something like that. But I personally wouldn't put myself in that position. I don't think Khalil is confident enough to be able to play not practicing at all this week. Had he been limited today, that would have been a totally different story. But since he didn't even practice at all, I think it's like closer to like a 20% chance that he plays, where I wouldn't put myself in that position. I'd go with a guy on Sunday that I might not be as confident in, but I know I'm happier with than like a Curtis Samuel or a Mike Williams.
Yeah, this is a pretty dangerous spot for the Bills, in my opinion. I mean, they're banged up. They're going into, they're going to a division rival who just fired their coach. And
which happens to us a lot, by the way. I feel like I don't know the stats of this, but it would be fun to find out who the team is that sees the first time interim coach on their like inaugural game like that. I feel like this has happened to the Bills more than any other team in football. Like we played like 5 or 6 interim coaches on their first game after a fire. Like like over the last few years. It's crazy.
Right. So Sarah, I'm going to get you in here. So we're going to talk.
Sure.
Let's stay with that game. Let's stay with that one game and say, I mean, is Aaron Rodgers running the show here? I mean, it seems like he's running the show. He's firing people and he's bringing his guys in, and they're still not winning. So I mean, to me, this is pretty pathetic. The Jets are a pathetic organization. So,
did you guys hear that they decided to pull Hackett from play calling duties also, and now Todd Downing is going to be the play caller, even though he's not the official offensive coordinator?
Well, I did not hear that.
Well, I heard that
they just announced that the other day.
So what I heard was Saleh made the offense. He's the one that pulled the plug on the offensive coordinator, demoting Hackett. He's the one that made the move, and then when he made the move, then he got fired. So what happened? Rodgers probably blew up and got him fired.
That's funny because supposedly he's on board with it, according to Urbic or the new guy. He says that Rodgers was okay with the swap, and him and Todd have a great relationship, and blah blah blah.
I doubt it. You know how much of a diva Rodgers is. Everybody knows how much I hate Rodgers. I mean, he's not. I don't even want to get into it. It's just I'd blow up. But out of all these injuries, Sarah, is there anything that like is affecting you, or anything that you're like? Let's go to the game last night, and we'll talk about Mason. If Mason's out, they said he should have enough time to recover. But are you looking at picking up Garendo, or are you going to try to pick up possibly Taylor? I mean, Taylor didn't look that great. Garendo looked like he hit a little bit more juice.
Well, I already have Garendo in a lot of leagues, like sitting on my taxi squad or just on my bench. Obviously in the leagues where there's like smaller and there's less room for, those kind of rookies who you're hoping might, see some action. Yeah, I would definitely pick up Garendo because, I mean, I understand that it's like might have been luck that he had, a 90-yard run or 99-yard run or whatever it was, and it was at the end of the game and all that kind of stuff. But he's showed out during the combine, right? Like everyone was talking about him and his speed and all that kind of stuff. So I think that they want to see what he can do personally. They already put him in. He already did more. Pete Taylor just never does anything anymore on the bench. So I think he's the guy. I don't know if you want to start him though, unless you're really desperate. Like I would definitely start him if I didn't have like any, I mean, like, would you guys start him over Zamir White?
Yes.
Like the way Zamir White's been playing, but you might get the same type of score, but it's like, if you're starting him over a guy who's like, was supposed to be the RB1, then I think, in desperate situations, high, a lot of like deep flex, running backs that are injured, things like that. I'm definitely going to play Garendo. Well, I'm not even going to pick Taylor up off the waivers unless I really am desperate and I'm just like hoping for anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in this Shanahan offense, I mean, it's amazing how one guy can just throw any running back in his backfield and they just produce. I mean, if you go back, I know this is going to show my age, but if you go back to like Tatum Bell, he was on the cover of like 3 fantasy magazines when he was going to be the next 2,000-yard back. Mike Anderson in Denver. I mean, he went off for.
It's even more 50. Frustrating that you can't get a guy like Bijan to go off in Atlanta.
Right. So it just shows that the Shanahan offense, it's a running scheme. Just put anybody back there, and I mean they just produce. So yeah, if next man up for me. I mean, if Mason misses, it looks like Garendo's got a lot more juice. He's a 4.2, 4.3 guy, and he looked really good. And he was actually a pretty smart kid too, because he did the right thing yesterday. He fell down at the goal line. Make them burn their timeouts.
Which is pretty impressive, being that he's a rookie, and that was his chance to score his first NFL.
Yeah, he was so excited to get that.
That's pretty. That shows some real like team commitment right there. To not want to score your first NFL touchdown when you have a wide open 90-yard. I mean, you can tell everybody my first touchdown was a 90-yard breakaway, right? You kind of like that's like a huge thing to be happy about. Yeah. And
I think that alone will get him the job.
On the 2-yard line because I know we need it. Like. That's like selfless and very impressive for a guy like that in his in that rookie position that he was in.
I mean, if I was a fly on the wall in the locker room, I guarantee Shanahan probably mentioned that and said, "Look, this kid did the right thing. He knew the game situation. It wasn't too
I'd
big
probably
for
give
him.
him the game ball, to be honest, because he
Oh,
stepped up in the situation that he was in, and he didn't fumble. He didn't have any kind of nerves. It looked like he ran well.
Yeah. Hey,
You know?
Sean, last week we talked about how Shanahan likes to pick a guy who they're going to throw to. So last week, of course, on Thursday it was Debo, Sunday it was Ayuk, and a little Kittle mixed in. Who do you guys think is going to be this coming matchup? Who's going to be the one?
Who are they playing again this week coming up? Their next matchup. Let me go. I'm trying to double check here real quick myself.
Yeah, I got to look too. It looks like it's going to be. Oh, I have to look at next week. I'm looking at this week now. Oh,
yeah, it's.
prepared.
I mean, either way, they're going to try to run the ball no matter what because they're.
But
right now.
Yeah, but Garendo. I don't know if they want to run Garendo to the ground in his first, start either. So Pete Taylor will definitely get.
Mason
they're playing KC next week.
KC.
Yeah, and KC has been playing really tough against the run. So I would definitely. I would play him over guys like Mostert and those types of running backs. I think I'd probably put him maybe at the tail end of the teens, high end 20s as far as his back ranking.
I would definitely play him in my flex. I would play him in a flex because, like I said, I trust the Shanahan offense when it comes to running. And I think it'll be a really good game. And I actually think, like I said before, I think the Chiefs are kind of a fraudulent 5-0. So this could be a get right game where
I agree. I just don't think it's their defense is the reason for it.
Their defense definitely isn't the reason. But like I said, you turn the ball, if KC turns the ball over in their own zone, that now you're talking about point scoring. And actually, I wouldn't be shocked if it's a high scoring game, even though both defenses are pretty good, especially the Chiefs. It wouldn't shock me, if it ends up being some kind of high scoring game. And the NFL is crazy. I mean, it's the National Fake You Out League, and it fakes you out every week. So you just don't even know. So, we'll get into this game, and it was 36-24, pretty high scoring. You got there on the over, you got there on the point spread. Geno threw for over 300. Purdy was, didn't get the 300, but he had 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. We already talked about the backfield for San Francisco, their receiving core. And I wanted to discuss this a little bit. I mean, what a complete waste of money. $130 million or whatever they paid Brandon Ayuk, and he gets two catches for 37 yards. It's the same thing that Juwan Jennings can do. And this is just a horrible contract that they paid this guy. They could have just let him go. Juwan Jennings can do the same thing. You got Ricky Pearsall coming back. You got George Kittle, Debo. I'll go to Sarah. Sarah, are you happy if you're a Niners fan? You just gave this guy. You got to pay Brock Purdy next year. The guy's making $1 million.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like not even just as a Niners fan, like being unhappy with. I have to blame a little bit of it on the play calling too, because they're not really getting the ball. But some, in the early part of the season too, he's dropping a lot of balls and everything, and then his problems with pay and all that. But no, not happy as a Niners fan, but also not happy as a fantasy owner. Like very, very, like it's like to the point where we're about to be in week 7, and it's like, okay, do we put him on the bench? Do I put somebody else up in here?
At this point, as a fantasy owner, I would have preferred the trade to Pittsburgh. It can't be worse.
This guy was what? Were we drafting him in like the 3rd round?
Easily,
he was moving up
fourth.
third, fourth round. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the production you're getting out of your healthy 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
It's pretty awful.
I don't see any change on the horizon. You know what I mean? I don't see any kind of talk about we need to get Brandon involved or, there's no like kind of discussion about any of it. It's kind of just like, hey, he's just out there and we'll throw him the ball whenever we can. But
they don't use him as a distraction.
Yeah, they don't have like a game plan to get him utilized on a regular basis. Just to
it's a good game for him.
So.
Yeah, plus you got the rookie coming back. He's going to be involved. So you got to have targets for him, even if it's only, 2 or 3 targets a game. That's 2 or 3 targets away from everybody else.
Yeah.
You talking about Ricky?
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah, and plus he's coming back from that like great story too, so everyone's going to be rooting for him.
Yeah, and he was their first round drafted pick. Brandon Ayuk was like a guy that fell to them in a way where they went out and grabbed Pearsall. They reached on Pearsall, so like that's the guy that they really like. I'm with Scott, man. I think that, if they weren't going to utilize him and make him be like a very focal point of this offense, then why did you pay him? Why did you fight through all of that and go through all of that?
Yeah.
You were the ones that turned it down. Brandon was willing to take it. Pittsburgh was willing to give it. And they sat on their hands for a week and a half until they finally gave Brandon some money. So to me, it's like if they made that trade, you'd have your money for Purdy and you'd have the opportunity to make a move if you're still feeling like receiver needed to be addressed. We have 4 or 5 more weeks before the trade deadline. You'd have an extra $20 million in cap space ready to roll. Like, you could be in the play for a guy like Adams or Dobbs or whoever else you thought would fit your system right. Now you have no choice. Now you're stuck paying him, and you're going to have to work the cap to keep Bosa and all of your other defensive pieces, Fred Warner, and then Purdy. Like, it's going to be a really, really rough time. They're going to end up losing good players over the next few years because of this deal.
Yeah, in the 49ers back, their secondary is not very good. I mean, you could have used that money to at the trade deadline, bringing somebody in the secondary to help out the secondary. I mean, going with the Seattle statistics, I mean, Geno had it started off kind of bad with a bad pick, but he ended up with 300 yards and had a touchdown. And
imagine if they snagged like Buda Baker off the Cardinals.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You put him in that backfield for a stretch run. That would be a huge benefit for them.
Yeah, and then Walker didn't do that well on the ground. I mean, he did get in the end zone, but 14 carries, he only turned in 32 yards. But what saved his bacon was the eight receptions on 8 targets, which in PPR, I mean, that saved your bacon definitely for sure. I mean, DK Metcalf had 11 targets, and he could have had a monster day. I mean, he did have a touchdown that was called back on a kind of a terrible shift call from Kenneth Walker, and then the touchdown in the end zone.
That was a terrible play by Walker. The call was terrible. Everything else was great. Walker just played it like an idiot. I don't know what he was doing out there.
Yeah, he didn't come.
He had a brain fart moment.
Yeah, he didn't come to a stop, and it was legal shift, and then
Metcalf around for like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm like, what are you doing bouncing around over there, dude? You just stop moving. You're good.
Yeah, and then Metcalf had 11 targets. Like I said, he only caught the 3. He had the touchdown in the end zone that he couldn't get his feet down. So he could have had a really, really big monster day.
He needs to start wearing white cleats. That might have been a touchdown if he was wearing white cleats.
Yeah, he's wearing those green cleats that kind of pretty bad.
I remember somebody said that to a rookie one time or something. He barely missed the toe tap, and he told the rookie, "You need to start wearing white cleats." I remember interviews, somebody was telling me that happened to them.
But Geno spread the ball around. I mean, you got some decent production out of JSN, got some decent production out of Lockett, and actually, if you were dying at tight end and you bit the bullet and picked up Noah Fant, he caught all 6 targets for 63 yards. So, Geno's going to continue to be a good quarterback and be in the top 5, I think, the rest of the year. This offense looks like they're going to have, I mean, they didn't win the game, but they still scored 24 points, which was good. And I think they're going to be a very efficient offense, continue to be an efficient offense going forward.
And they're competitive in that division. So it's not like they're going to take their foot off the gas.
No, not at all. So
yeah. I got to admit, I was actually surprised they lost. I'm surprised they gave it away, but I'm happy because I like the Niners. But
Yeah, it was a good game though. I mean, you don't get a lot of good games on Thursday nights, so it was. Even though I didn't make it to the second half, I had to rewatch it because I've just been so exhausted with all the hurricane garbage. I'm trying to sleep. So that goes for our Thursday night wrap up and. Today we're going to get into some trades and we're going to get into hopefully some start sits. But before we get into that, I'm going to have Sarah bring up the high stakes statistics that I put together every week. So I do this I'm in charge of the high stakes. I'm the manager for high stakes redraft leagues. I do this every week for my players. They invest a lot of money, $100 for each league. Some of these guys are in multiple leagues. A couple guys I think are in 8 or 9. So they've invested a lot of money. So I want to do a little bit more for them. This right here I put together this little chart. Basically has the top 10 overall records. I'll go through them real quick. So the only undefeated left in all of the high stakes leagues is Mr. Been doing this. He's in the Iceman League. He's 5-0, 717 points. Mr. Sinister is the next at 831. That's Cash. He's 4-1. Zay 2403 in Colossus. He's 4-1. Grizz Tony, he's the leader in 3 leagues. So he's in Nightcrawler, Magneto, and Deadpool. All 3 leagues, he's 4-1. So congratulates to Grizz Tony. You're off to a very hot start. We have Love John. We've talked about Love John on here in his tremendous trades. He's at the top of the leaderboard, Wolverine at 4-1. We have Thrill Kill and Gambit at 4-1. And look who comes in Phoenix. The top spot at 4-1.
Oh my gosh.
That's on Bill's Mafia. What is
Oh
up?
my gosh.
Do you even know about that? Do you even know about that team, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was up there in the 4-1 range on one of them. I think I'm 3-2 and 2-3. I'm basically like one game apart across the board on all 3 of those leagues. But hey, 1 out of 3, I'm okay with.
Well, do you want to you're on the show, you're there. Do you want to gloat about your team here? I mean, why are you 4-1?
A lot of luck, to be honest with you. It's been that kind of season, bro. I mean, you run into, good matchups one week here and there, and next thing you know, you're 4-1. But then I have a team that, honestly, I think the other team that I have that's 2-3 is a better team. It's just ran into more of a buzzsaw in the schedule so far. But I'll brag about it when I get to like 7-1, 8-1. Okay, now I can feel confident and brag, but 4-1 could easily turn into, a 4-win season. So I'm not going to get too crazy just yet.
Well, congrats though. That's to be in the, it's always good to be at the top of the list all the time. So
especially in a league that, is like a good money league that people are invested in, and when you're playing in a money league that's like, $100 or whatever, people are into that enough to where they're trying their butts off to get wins. You don't run into those weeks where a guy doesn't put a player in because he missed out, or the guy was on a bye and he never checked his roster. That never happens in leagues that are, $100 and up.
No, definitely.
So, right. And you'll notice too, when I go through the list here, that there's a lot of multiple players and people are like, oh, well, no, yeah, of course they're going to be here because they're in so many leagues, that they have more chances. Well, yeah, but these are high competitive leagues. I mean, these people are good drafters, and to be in the top of all, to be in this situation like Grizz Tony, like Cash, that are in multiple leagues in first place. I mean, that shows that they're good drafters. I mean, they're good players, and it's very hard to do something like that. In a league like this where, like I said, like Sean said, there's a lot of people investing a lot of money in this, so they're taking it really, really serious. And then, like I said, Cash, in the Beast League, Cash is number 1 at 4-1, and Grizz Tony is number 1 in Deadpool at 4-1. Look at his points again, or his points for 568. So that shows you that he played a lot of bad teams the first part of the.
Everybody else is over 200 points higher.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but still, hey, you're in first place, man. All you gotta do is get in the top 4, man. Make them playoffs.
Yep.
Exactly.
So if you go, so that's highlighted in green. If you go over highlighted in blue, that's the top 10 overall points. So it doesn't matter which league you're in. I listed it from the top points all the way down. So Cash 3 and Sinister is the number 1 team out of all 10 leagues at 831.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good amount of points right there.
And he's not even in first in that league.
Pardon?
Right? No, he is in first in that league. I see him here.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. He's in first. He's in first in that league. Yes. These people you'll be able to cross-reference and see, they're not even in first. So like for here, like Finch, GDX, he's got the second overall points at 814 out of the whole league. And he's not even in the top spot in his league because of his record. So he obviously played a lot of good teams, and that's why he's not number 1. Coming in at the Deadpool League at 798 points is our game manager and our podcast, Zoobs from way up north. Welcome, congratulations, Zoobs. That's
with a nice full beard.
Yeah, with nice, you almost cracked the 800 mark. And then this individual here, Zay 2403. So he has 2 teams in Colossus and Sinister. He has 793 points, 0.60, and 793.24. So that basically shows you that he's probably got a roster that's like almost exact, from what I'm guessing. So congratulations to Zay there. We got Keith Richards as a Gambit, 789, 28. Grizz Tony sitting there again. Nightcrawler at 786, 28. Scofflaw and Deadpool at 775, 36. Big Blue 079 and Sinister 771, 14. And then Grizz Tony again and Magneto 77064. So obviously a lot of the same names. These are your guys. These are your stud owners that are put together some really good teams. So that's your top 10 overall most points. And then highlighted in yellow, I have the top 5 most top 4 playoff positions. So basically, these owners are in the top 4 in multiple leagues, and Cash is in the top 4 in 4 of his leagues. Grizz Tony, JoJo, who's been on the pod, does our DFS stuff on the website.
JoJo.
They 2403. All 4 of these guys are in 4 leagues are in the top 4, so that's a really good accomplishment. Then we have Twinsanity, Mr. Been Doing This, and Chiefs Lights are all 3 of them are in 2. So that's the statistics breakdown for my high stakes league that I'll update every week. All right, so now we're gonna get into what everybody likes, everybody looks forward to. What do we call it, Sean?
Trade talks, everybody.
Oh,
we're gonna do trade
right.
talks.
Just the trade talk. All right.
Well, I guess I should use the air horn on that.
I was getting ready to cover my ears. But, all right.
We
So
change it up a little bit for you guys,
So this is a Ballsville. Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead and you can break this down.
Absolutely. So this is the Ballsville deal here. We've got our main man Westlex involved in this deal and a unknown user that is blacked out. We have a trade of Tyreek Hill and a 2025 third going to Alex, and going to our mystery man. He gets Christian Kirk, Jordan Mason, and a 2025 second.
Okay. I'll start. Even though he's an older asset, I really like the Tyreek side. I think Christian Kirk is slowly going to lose his number 1 role. Brian Thomas Jr. is a stud. He's the number
slowly. 1. I think it's already happened.
Yeah, it's kind of already happening, but it's still kind of there. But Jordan Mason obviously is just a fill-in for CMC, and we don't even know if CMC is even coming back. So, it's just going to be an expiring asset, in my opinion. The third and second, that's to me that's just kind of like a wash, I guess, depending on where the picks are. But Hill's a great win now piece. Obviously, this offense is dying without Tua, so I like the Hill side. What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I think that if the Kirk side was a 2025 first, I would say that I like that more because Mason could still be a good win now piece, and Kirk could still be a decent wide receiver too. But I think in this scenario, like once Tua comes back, I mean Tyreek is just, he's just insane, and I don't think Mason or Kirk is going to last through next year. So I like the Tyreek side a little bit better, but I don't mind the other side too much. But yeah, Tyreek's definitely, I would take that side.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I lean towards the Tyreek side. It's close, I guess. Like you said, maybe if you went 2025 second and Tyreek for Kirk, Mason, and a 2025 first, then I'm like, okay, that sounds like that would be pretty decent. But if you're a CMC owner and you're doing well and you only have that one hole in your roster right now from CMC being out, then and I'm also assuming this trade was done prior to Thursday's game and the injury, of course. So I could see why he would give up Tyreek Hill to get Kirk and Mason in your lineup right now. Kirk is probably going to score you about as many points as Hill until Hill gets Tua back. So he's kind of getting a little bit of a wash for a few weeks with that, and Mason's going to cover his butt if he's sitting waiting for CMC. So, if he's sitting at like 4-1 right now and he wants to try to make a run, then I could see why he would make that deal. But I'm agreeing with you guys on that. I would have wanted to get a little bit more out of him, or I would have just stuck with Hill and waited for Tua to come back.
For sure.
Gotcha.
Next one up, we've got our good buddy C-Bomb. And on a trade with Rovente, C-Bomb gets Darnell Mooney and Jaden Reed, and he sends Rashee Rice. And you guys did not discuss this one, correct? On Friday?
No, we
Okay.
didn't discuss.
So, yeah, I know there was a couple Rashee Rice trades talked about, so I wasn't sure if this was one of them or not. But, to me, I think I kind of like the Darnell Mooney, Jaden Reed side just slightly more if you're going for win now mode. Otherwise, I'm definitely going Rice.
Oh, actually, Connor said we did discuss this one. I couldn't remember if we did or not.
Okay.
So,
I'll give you guys my opinion then, since I wasn't here. That was my opinion.
No worries.
Go ahead, Sarah. I don't need to go. You can go because
Sure.
I know
Yeah. I like the Mooney Reed side because Mooney's finally getting to show off how good he is, because he's been struggling for the last couple of years. And I think we've all known that he's got skills, but they're finally coming out. So, I mean, yeah, I would like that, but I really love Rashee Rice too. But Mooney, just because Reed and Mooney both have pretty good upside that I think is pretty even, but I like that side.
Yeah, and Connor says it's okay. I'm old, and yeah, I'm old, and I had a lot on my mind this weekend. So
yeah, right. I was gonna say, I'm sure it's got more to do with everything you've been dealing with than your age, but
no, I like the Connor side too. Like I said, I agree with what Sarah said. Moody's found a home in Atlanta, and so yeah, to me, it's he doesn't want to wait for Rashee Rice. Just get two assets now that he can immediately. Because you can start Mooney now every week. I mean, Mooney's an every week starter. So you got two guys that you can plug in every week and go forward from there. Okay, next.
The next trade we've got is submitted. Looks like Ralphie58 gave us this trade. I'm not sure if that is the league name or if that's the gentleman who was involved in the deal.
That's the guy's name. Yeah, that is Ralphie58. He goes into the big one.
Awesome. He was probably just wanting us to know that he was in on this deal, and he just didn't want us to run out his trade partner. So I see why he did it that way. So he's going to receive Trevor Lawrence, Najee Harris, a 2025 second, and a 2026 third. And in return, he is sending away A.J. Brown, Russell Wilson, and a 2026 second.
Wait, is that Rome? Oh, yeah, that's Russell. Sorry, that's Pittsburgh.
No, you're right. It is Roman.
That is Rome? Yeah, it's blurry on my screen, but I think that says wide receiver.
Oh, that's Roman. Oh, that's Roman Wilson.
I said Russell. I'm sorry. You're right.
It's all right.
Okay. This is Ballsville. Is this Ballsville, Sean?
It does not say. It does not say.
If this is Ballsville and we're a super flex, obviously we're super flex format. I'm always happy to get a quarterback and not have to give one back in return. So I know Trevor Lawrence started off slow, but I think he's found his number one receiver now. And I love getting Trevor Lawrence. Najee Harris, he's still serviceable, but to me, I'm getting the best player in the deal. I think even over AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown is a good player, is a good elite player. But like I said, in a super flex format, if I can get a quarterback in return, unless they're a complete disaster, which I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a complete disaster, I'll always take the quarterback side.
It's a non-Ballsville, he said, but okay. I'm assuming that this is still super flex, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming if it's super flex. If it's non-super flex, then, we may have a different conversation. What about you,
Sarah? Oh, no, it is. It is 10-team Dynasty super flex. It's half PPR. It's got a little baby line right up there that says it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm taking the quarterback side. Sarah?
Yep, same. Definitely taking the quarterback side. Again, yeah, like you just said, to get a quarterback and not have to give one, and because T-Law could still, do great things. And then, Najee's just kind of like a little toss in for the deal because he is kind of a win now piece since, Warren has been injured and he's actually been doing pretty well. And we have no idea what Roman Wilson's going to do yet, even though we all hope. And yeah, AJ Brown's a great piece. So I think I like both sides, but I'd take the Lawrence side for sure.
Shout out to Fran. Where's Alex, Fran?
Right?
You got him as a slave out there working to death.
He's not as dedicated as she is.
All right. What about you, Sean? What do you think?
I'm definitely leaning the Lawrence side. Same reason. I just like the idea of getting a quarterback. And I don't think AJ Brown is that valuable of an asset to give up everything else, because pretty much that's the main piece in that trade. I mean, Roman Wilson and the 2026 second, I think aren't really like big assets that's going to make a difference for me as much. So, he was obviously trying to get AJ in this deal, and I think I would have given up a little bit less. I would have tried to come up with a way where I didn't have to give up quarterback to make it happen. But otherwise, I mean, I don't hate it per se. I definitely lean towards the quarterback side of the super flex.
Yeah, and Fran writes, he's out there making my money. That's what my wife said. He's making the money to pay for all your fantasy leagues that you're in. That's what he's doing. So my wife would say he's making money to pay for all my wife's purses and shoes. So
hey, how do we know Fran doesn't work to pay for her own fantasy football leagues?
All right, let's go next.
Next trade we've got up. This is a 12-team Dynasty Superflex. You got Justin Herbert, George Pickens, and a 2025 third going to Team 1. He is sending to Team 2 Aaron Rodgers, A.J. Brown, and Tucker Kraft.
That one's pretty interesting.
I think I'm leaning towards the A.J. Brown, Aaron Rodgers, Tucker Kraft side, but it's close, man. It's really close.
Man, I just don't. What about you, sir? I mean, Herbert's in this deal. I mean,
look, I'm not even
give up Herbert. I mean,
even if I wasn't a Charger fan, this is not even bias. Rodgers just is so ugly to me right now. Like after the season he's already started with, it's just like, yes, of course I want Herbert. He's younger. He's got more, if he can just not be injured and play a healthy year, he'd probably be pretty good. And I like Pickens too. I mean, obviously giving up Brown and Kraft is really the big part of this. It's just kind of like, if Rodgers was just, a different older quarterback, then this could, look very different to me. And I would take that side, but it's pretty close to me. I would want the Herbert side. And again, I would not fault the other side either, because if he's good and Rodgers is going to be his backup third quarterback, then that's a great deal.
Yeah, I'd have to really see the guy getting Rodgers, who his other quarterbacks were. Because if, like Sarah said, if Rodgers would be his new 3 in a super flex, I'd be fine with that. But if he's going to be a 2, I just don't trust Rodgers long term unless he gets Devontae Adams and they can play together a couple years. I don't know, man. It's really, really close. I mean, to me, I'm gonna cop out and play chicken, and I'm just gonna say it's even.
I can tell you, this is one of those trades that the team, what each person's team would make a huge difference in what I would say is the winner of this deal, right? Like if the guy who's getting Rodgers, Brown, and Kraft had Rashee Rice as his wide receiver 1, and he has Patrick Mahomes and Jaden Daniels as his starting quarterbacks, I wouldn't hate the move to get rid of his third quarterback and Herbert, replace him with a starting third quarterback, so he at least has his backup guy there, and then replace his outrun wide receiver with a stud wide receiver and get himself a up and coming tight end that at this point is looking like he could potentially be like a top 12 guy moving forward for a few years. So I wouldn't hate it in that situation. Now, if he's not quarterback deep enough to where he's not going to have to play Rodgers, then absolutely I'm going to lean the other direction. So it really is going to be affected by what their rosters were on these squads to make this trade. It's that close.
Yeah. Wow. Last couple trades, people are selling on AJ. Interesting.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's because he was coming off of that injury in the bye week and all that, and I think people were just like the Eagles are playing. I think they're scared a little bit of AJ Brown moving forward.
Try and sell high.
Yeah, now's the time to buy him if you're out there, because I think he's, for the value you can get him at, I definitely think it's worth buying him right now.
Yeah. Okay, next
one we got up here, we got another ghost trade with Sleeper Team 1 and 2. So this is a 12 Dynasty Superflex PPR. We've got Team 1 receiving Jordan Addison, JJ McCarthy, and 2 first-rounders. They're sending away Patrick Mahomes, David Montgomery, and Tony Pollard.
Wow.
Yeah, so this looks like definitely a rebuild trading
100%.
with, basically the way this breaks down for me. So
For sure.
I still think, though, rebuild or not, I still think I want to keep Patrick Mahomes, David Montgomery, and Tony Pollard moving forward on my roster. I wouldn't give him up for that. I don't think personally. Where are you guys at on it?
I am thinking I want to know where I wish I knew where those 2 firsts were, because if those 2 firsts were early and the way the quarterbacks that are coming out next year, it's a pretty deep quarterback class. I don't think it's a bad deal for the guy rebuilding. He's got McCarthy. I love Jordan Addison. I think Jordan Addison is a guy that I think in Dynasty you should be buying going forward, especially that JJ gets all the attention, which leaves Addison open. Even though Hawkinson's going to come back, I love Jordan Addison. I think he's proven he's going to be a really good receiver in this league. I think the Vikings could be like an Eagles where they got AJ and Devontae, a 1-2 punch. So, and then getting those 2 first rounds, if he could land like a Sanders and a Ewers or Carson Beck in the first, double tap quarterback along with JJ to McCarthy, he'd have 3 young quarterbacks as a rebuild. So I kind of like it. I kind of agree with Sean though too. It's kind of hard to give up Mahomes, but Mahomes is 29. I still think he's got 4 or 5 seasons left. For me as a dynasty owner, I like to try to move on from quarterbacks when they hit age 33. Even if they have a couple good years after that, I think that's the last year you can get maximum value out of those quarterbacks.
He says one of the 2025 first is a lock to be the 102.
Okay, so he's guaranteed a quarterback.
Let's just assume that the other first, if it's that players, is probably going to be a little bit later since he's now getting Mahomes, Montgomery, and Pollard.
Yeah, he's a contender. So we'll put it at like 10, we'll say. Yeah. So say he's 110 and 1-2 with those 2 picks.
I think I still dig it. I mean, I still dig it. What about you, Sarah?
I don't mind it at all. I mean, I have a few leagues that I'm rebuilding in, and I'm like going through these types of questions in my head is like, 2 firsts enough to give up, a certain player that, someone would want to, pay up for. And I mean, Montgomery and Pollard, I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, it's tough with it being Mahomes, even though he has been a little, disappointing this year. But I like the rebuild side of it. I like Addison and McCarthy side, and I love 2 firsts. I love having firsts if I'm rebuilding. So I don't hate it. It's close, but if I'm rebuilding, I would probably make that trade.
And if we're assuming that he still has his own first, so he could have 3 firsts.
Yes.
And, if you're trading Mahomes on the open market, are you getting 3 firsts for him? And
right. And are you getting 1?
Right. And you kind of are getting 3 firsts because McCarthy was a first. So basically he could potentially, going into the draft next year, have 3 first-round picks. So if he has 2, and 2 of them are going to be early, because if one's his own, and then he said right here, the lock number 2, so we could have the 101, 101, 103, 104 range with the 102, and then a late one, a first-rounder. Yeah. So we could have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're rebuilding, I think this is a good trade. And Sean, you're kind of a little on the Mahomes side, right?
Yeah, I lean towards the Mahomes side, maybe because I'm slightly, a little more Mahomes kind of truther, I guess. I mean, he's just been that good for me. It's hard for me to just think he's, had a few bad games and he's just going to fall off. But, that being said, I definitely don't hate either side. It is very close. And 102, I mean, that makes a big difference, right? So, it's one of those right on the cusp kind of deals where it actually could turn out to be a really good deal for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, even though I don't like a lot of players going. I like the 1-for-1 deal, 2-for-2 deal, but for a bunch of players going in different directions, I think this is a very even trade.
Yeah,
good one.
All right, moving on. Next trade we got involves El Capitan over here.
Another one.
Wes Lex. He's going again with one of those teams that scribbled red. So we have no idea who he's trading with here. But we have Cole Kmet. Alex is receiving Cole Kmet, Raheed Shaheed, CJ Stroud, and a 4th rounder.
We did talk about this one.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yep, we did.
Moving on.
Just move on.
We got enough to move on.
I think it sucks for Alex. I'm just going to say that real quick. But okay, moving on. Just teasing you guys.
Hey, there we go.
We got a lot of trades in the queue, so yeah. If it's one we talked about, we're just going to move on. All right,
So,
Sarah, this is your
this
trade.
is-
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this
Sarah-
is yours, Sarah.
Sarah,
So
go
you
ahead and-
want to take
yeah,
the
you-
wheel?
Sure. So this is a dynasty league. It's my second year in this league. It's a high stakes league. It's $100 league. I have Puka on IR right now. So let me just tell you what my wide receivers look like and my running backs look like. I made these trades within 10 minutes of each other. Somebody was trying to get Rice from me. He was willing to give up ETN. I know ETN isn't having the greatest year, but I really like him. And let's see. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up to get.
No, you're great. Now, Sarah, while you're working, did you know the second trade was going to go through?
I didn't know for sure because you know how you like send out a trade and you're just like, how long before they get to me? Are they going to answer me? Are they just going to reject it? You know what I mean? And I sent this trade and there was no counters. He just took it. So I initiated that trade.
And this
Wondering.
is the same league, right? Both trades are in the same
both
league.
in the same league. Yes, exactly. So I unfortunately have Ayuk in this league. I wish that somebody wanted him. But I'm still hopeful, right? So I've got Ayuk, I've got Rashid Shaheed, and I've got Dowdle, and I've got Barkley too. So as far as my wide receiver, and I have Pacheco. So I mean, honestly, I have like a Sean RB style like team right now, but a couple of them aren't playing. So
What's the rest of I want to hear your wide receiving core.
Okay, so wide receiving core is not the best. I've got Ayuk, Rashid, I've got Puka, let me get down here. I've got Ladd, Shakir, and McLeod. And then on my, on my taxi squad, there's not much. So Ayuk and Puka and Rice were like my 3 top guys, and it's only a 2 wide receiver league. It's not 3.
Oh, okay, 2. Okay. That
So when Puka comes back, it's Ayuk and Puka. But Shahid's just been doing so great, and Shakir's not too bad. But when unless someone's injured, I'm playing those same 2 guys like all year long. So he wanted Rice, and he wanted Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, he was asking for Rice, and he was trying to trade ETN, and we went through a few different things, and we simplified it, and like let's just go 1 for 1. Then I went to the guy that has Bigsby, and Bixby, and I just threw out this trade and hoping to get like a young guy and a second round for an aging out running back, and Henry could still be good, but I have a lot of tight ends, so. I don't know what you guys think.
Patriot fan in the league, huh?
I know, right?
Yeah, you're a Patriot guy. I kind of like it. I mean, yeah, you are a little light on receiver, but I think the only problem you might have is like every week. Are you gonna? I mean, if this is gonna be a split backfield, you're gonna be, unless you play them both, you're gonna be debating on which guy you're gonna play every week, right?
Well, absolutely. But I mean, honestly, with Barkley and Dowdle also on my team, I'm not even like really too stressed about, I mean, I am a little bit because obviously I really want ETN to keep being RB1 because I want to play one of them. But yeah, I think it's going to take a few weeks for me to really figure it out probably.
You know what?
And I also have Chuba too.
What I would probably do, Sarah, if I was you, is I'd look to make a move now and send one of your other running backs, like a Dowdle, who's on a high right now, and try to see a receiver.
Try to get a wide receiver.
You need another. Yeah. You need another receiver. So yeah, I agree with Sean. I would take somebody hot like Dowdle and float him out there for.
Look at the guy who has Nico, maybe, because I know he just went on IR right now, so he's going to be out for a few weeks. If he's running back needy and Nico's sitting in his IR slot, you might be able to get him for a cheaper price right now. Since you just traded away Rice, I think if you can get Nico for, a roundabout or what you trade Rice away for, like I think you could get a really good deal.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I thought Ladd was going to be a lot better, so it's supposed to have be a top
He'll-
guy for me.
Yeah, you got to keep Ladd. He's only a rookie. You know,
Oh yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't start
absolutely.
panicking until like year 3.
I'm not getting rid of any bolts. Come on.
No, yeah. I mean, if you can get Nico, I mean, you just hit the lottery.
That'd be sick.
So
That's very
Yeah,
true.
you'll have to pay a little bit for him, but I think it'll totally be worth it for you.
I mean, you did get that second rounder. You could always use that second and Dowdle to go get Nico.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, and then
Yeah, I also have 2
first to throw in like lower end, like I'd even consider maybe throwing him Ladd if he needs wide receiver help potentially too. Hey, this is an upcoming young guy. Here's Ladd plus.
That won't happen. That's not happening. That's not happening. I've got 3 seconds and 2 firsts. So
Sean, go ahead and trade Kincaid off your team.
Yeah, he's not doing that
right
well
now.
right
I'm like okay with that, depending on how much you want to give me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's sad. I know it's frustrating, but yeah. So yeah, I had to get Bixby too, but I'm happy that I did.
Okay, well, yeah, like I said, I like the trade, but I'll like it a lot better
next.
I'll like it a lot better if you can pick up another receiver.
For sure. Yep, got to go for receiver next. I'll start doing that after the pod.
Okay. All right, next.
Next deal we've got here is somebody who doesn't know how to screenshot very well, but that's okay because we still appreciate the submission. We've got a trade with our buddy Grundog and an unknown player. The unknown player is receiving Jaden Reed, Alan Lazard, a 2025 second, third, and a 2026 third. And he is sending to Grundog, Brian Thomas, and Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. This is a tough one for me. I think I'm leaning towards the Thomas Tua side just because I like the quarterback aspect. Even though Tua's hurt right now, all indications are he's going to be back. So I would hope that Tua comes back, plays well, and then I could look to move him for a different quarterback before the end of the year. But I think I lean towards that side because I think Jaden Reed and Brian Thomas are probably going to be very close to equal long term. So you're getting Tua for second, 2 thirds, and Lazard.
What about
you? I value Brian Thomas way more than Reed. Personally, I think Brian's going to not be equal to Reed throughout because
Reed has. Him?
I do. Yeah. I think Reed has got more competition, when everyone's healthy, of course. But I mean, Kraft is coming in and taking snaps. It's just Reed's great. Don't get me wrong. He's awesome. But I think Brian Thomas already in this trade is high. And then when you add Tua in on it, I think that Grundog got a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys all know how I feel about getting a quarterback and not having to give up a quarterback. And, I agree with Alex. Alex on the chat wrote in Reed and Thomas are probably a wash. So it's basically Tua for Lazard and a bunch of picks. I mean, in the open market, if you're trying to acquire Tua, what are you guys giving up for Tua? Like just draft picks? Is it a second and a third, or is it a first and a third? I mean, what would you have to give up? You think to get Tua? Just if you just were looking at picks.
If what I'm willing to give up versus what I would want in return maybe are 2 different things, but what would you be willing to give up Tua for? I would give him up for 2 seconds. That's what I would want in return. Minimum is 2 seconds if I owned him. Sure. I'm trying to buy him. I want to pay more than a second and a third because I don't have confidence.
Same. I wouldn't want to pay more than a second and a third if I was buying him. But if I was selling him, I'd like to find someone who's desperate enough to pay higher than that.
Yeah,
I would sell him for 2 seconds or even just a straight, first.
I think player value can be a good thing for you if you're holding Tua right now and you're trying to trade him away. Like I would try to snag a player plus a pick deal because I think you'll get more value than you will for just a picks. And for Tua, I think your value meter will be better if you can get a hold of a player that you consider to be low end buy right now because you think he's better than what he's actually projected at it currently. So that's the kind of situation where I would try to target one of my good sleeper players plus a pick and go that route rather than like 2 picks.
And I wouldn't be shocked if these picks are probably late. I couldn't see somebody giving up all those picks if they were early. So I do like obviously acquiring a quarterback with Tua, and then like I said, Brian Thomas and Reed to me are like a wash. But and then real quick, so I know people are asking about Ken. Ken should be back on the show Tuesday. He's doing okay. He stayed with his parents during the hurricane, and they had a lot of damage around the yard. The house was fine, but just a lot of cleanup with trees and power lines and stuff like that. So he's doing okay. We'll all get through it. Like he'll get through it, and his parents are fine. So he'll be back on the show Tuesday. So thanks for the shout out for Ken. So okay, well then I guess next slide.
Awesome. So this one was submitted by somebody who worked the screenshot game like a champion, because they gave us the league name and Tiamat as well. So we've got Jay Morris and Ralphie58 making a trade here. Jay Morris is getting Tua Tagovailoa, another Tua trade, Tua Tagovailoa and Ken Walker, and he is sending away Caleb Williams, Jalen Tolbert, and a 2025 fourth.
Ooh.
I think I'm leaning towards Ralphie on this one, man. I like the idea of snagging the 101 just 5 weeks ago for a combination of Tua and Walker, and then you throw in Tolbert in the fourth. I'm leaning that route.
What about you, Sarah?
I mean, he was the 101 5 weeks ago. Not playing like the 101, but I mean, it doesn't mean he's not talented. I like the Caleb side, but I also really like Kenneth Walker. This is kind of a tough one for me. You know, I think Tolbert is doing well with Cooks out. When Cooks was in, he wasn't doing very much, you know. So I mean, I've got him in a lot of leagues, so I've been watching his fantasy scores anyway. So that's a pretty tough one. I almost would say I would like it more if instead of Tolbert, it was like Caleb in a couple of seconds or something like that. But yeah, I don't really know for sure on this one. I'm not sure I would want to make the trade on either side because I like Kenneth Walker and I kind of like Caleb's upside. I'm kind of having a tough one with this. What do you think, Scott?
I mean, I like Tua. I'm a big Tua fan. I mean, but Caleb's starting to grow on me. I mean, he's fun to watch. I mean, the guy's fun to watch. I mean, he's not off to a tremendous start. I mean, because I think he gets overshadowed by Jaden Daniels and actually, Nix has been pretty good too. But you know what? And I like Jalen Tolbert. I mean, I have Jalen Tolbert in a lot of leagues. He's helped me out in a lot of spots, and I don't think Brandon Cooks is going to be around next year. So I think Tolbert will have that WR2 all to himself next year. So you know what? And I'm not a running back guy, so I never was. So I'm taking Caleb, man. I'm going to take the Caleb side.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So that's 2-1. You lose, Sarah.
My I can't make a decision loses.
Next trade we have is a 12-team PPR tight end premium league. We have Dark Knight 93 receiving Kyron Williams. Jay Sanders. I can't remember his first name. I don't know why it's blanking on it right now.
I think it's Jatavian Sanders.
Jatavian, yes, thank you. Jatavian Sanders. And Brock Bowers. And then he is sending Jonathan Taylor, Trey McBride, and Xavier Worthy.
Oh my God.
I am definitely. This is a no-brainer. I'm going.
Is this a balls? I don't mean to cut you off, Sean. Is this a Ballsville trade?
I don't think so because it's a PPR TEP league. So I don't think we do anything.
Ask you if it was a TEP league.
Yeah. So it is a tight end premium league, but I still think I'm leaning on the Jonathan Taylor, Trey McBride, Xavier Worthy side anyway. Where are you guys at?
Sarah? I kind of love this trade because there's like 4 of my favorite guys all mixed in here. I love Kyron. I always have. I love McBride. I love McBride all because he's really good. And also, fun fact, he's got 2 moms. So I think that's really cool. But, I like Worthy a lot too, honestly. And I do like JT. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's, just so good. But I like Kyron a little bit more than JT, just due to age and what he can still do. And I like Brock Bowers a lot because he is really showing that they are going to use him. I mean, they're showing that they're really going to use him a lot, and he's really breaking fantasy points, and bringing a little more fantasy points than McBride. So this is a tough one for me. Again, I would probably lean. Oh, this is so tough. Kyron and Brock, they're young and they're giving a lot of fantasy points. And Sanders is like, oh, we hope that he's going to be tight end one and actually do anything in Carolina, but he hasn't yet. And yeah, I guess the JT side, because all three of those guys are producing and can produce. I like the JT side best, but that's a tough one.
I would like the Kyron side if I could swap out Sanders for like a second rounder.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
That's exactly what I was going to
Totally.
say. Is the Worthy Sanders difference is where
Yep.
it makes it for me, because Worthy
Yeah.
is by far more valuable than Sanders in my opinion.
Yeah,
for sure, 100%.
But the way this is laid out here, I agree with Sean. I'm taking the three guys I can stick in my lineup every week and get points. Now, Connor did say in chat that he said it's a TEP +2.
Whoa.
Yeah, so basically 2 points per catch for PE for
Wow.
tight end.
So since Sanders is a second tight end for him, he's kind of
But still,
thinking
though,
that
I don't
would be
think
extra.
Sanders is going to get enough catches to make
Yeah, I
up
don't
the
think
difference.
not this year.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
Worthy's types of catches are going to be 20, 30-yard catches, a lot of them, right? Where Sanders, you're lucky to get a 30-yard snag out of most tight ends in general. So,
Yeah,
he's getting it.
I would have definitely countered for a second instead of Sanders.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's not horrible, I guess, based on the TEP aspect. But, yeah, that third player difference is where it changes for me.
Wow.
Yeah, same.
Okay, let's move
All
on.
right, moving on. Next one we've got. This is a straight player for pick swap. We've got DK going for 2025 first and 2026 second.
Wow.
And it's Chiefs Life and D Payne, two of our regulars.
So Chiefs Life is getting DK and D Payne's getting the picks.
Yep.
This is gonna, yeah.
I think
Oh,
it's
no, go
pretty
ahead.
good. I think it's pretty good evaluation. I mean, the way Geno's playing now, not sure how much longer he's going to play. Probably a couple more years at least. DK looks like a beast. I mean, I love that offense. They're throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, DK is worth a first. I think it's worth a first straight up. I don't like giving the second away in 2020, but it is a full 2 years away. And if this guy's if Chiefs Life is in win now mode, it says it Chiefs Life in fifth, late pick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I'm assuming the first is a late pick.
Yeah, late picks so basically he's saying those are going to be both late picks because Chiefs Life is currently in fifth place.
Well, you don't know about 2026. That's 2 years away. But I'm still taking the player. I mean, we're talking about random picks, and you got a guy that's a stud receiver and a very good offense. I'm taking the player all day.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I like the move. We all know that D Payne is in a rebuild. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the league that we were drafting in with him, where he basically sold the farm in the startup to get future picks and rookies like crazy. So this is probably just right along par with where he was at with that league. So if it's the same league anyway, but that's my guess, is that he's basically in that, tank for 2025 kind of setup right now. So that's why I think he did the straight swap like that. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'd take DK all day in that scenario.
Yeah, and if you guys are in chat and you guys have any start sits, go ahead and punch them in. We'll get to them. We won't drag this out with all the trades, so we'll try to get into some start sits also. So if you guys have any, go ahead and throw them in there.
Awesome. All right, coming up next one we've got here. This is our buddy C-Bomb again. This guy never gets off the computer. We've got Matthew Stafford and Tyler McLaurin going to C-Bomb in exchange with TB76. He is sending Jalen Tolbert, Will Levis. I can't remember this kid's first name. Wilson, the running back.
Emmanuel.
Elijah, is it Elijah Wilson?
It's Emmanuel, isn't it?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Some biblical name. Whatever, but biblical Wilson and a 2025 fourth. So, what do you guys have to say about this bad boy here? I'm leaning towards the Stafford side just because I like McLaurin. I feel like better than, I think he's kind of the best asset in the trade. If you,
For sure.
Not as super into Levis anymore, like some of us probably aren't. Wink, wink.
Yeah. I mean, Levis and Stafford have both been disappointing people this year, but McLaurin's clearly the best guy out of everyone in this trade. I would do the Stafford McLaurin trade on this side as well. Yeah, I mean, Tolbert's like going to be wide receiver 3, 2.5, 3. Wilson's RB2. Yeah, I mean, definitely I'm going with the 2 starters.
I think this trade's a little closer than what it looks.
Will Levis.
I love Levis.
I'm still a Levis guy. I still believe in him. You got to realize too, Stafford's 36 years old. I mean, is he going to play much longer? I mean, this almost looks like a 1-year rental for Connor. But I love how Terry McLaurin's tied to Jaden Daniels. I mean, this just totally. I mean, it shows you how much of a good quarterback can unlock a receiver. I mean, Terry McLaurin's been on a milk carton for so many years, and he finally gets a good quarterback, and he's just going to grow from here. So I like Connor's side because of the Terry McLaurin situation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Next trade, another wonderful screenshot. Thank you very much. We've got Iceman League. This is one of our high 7 leagues. We've got Grizz Tony making a trade with Mr. Ben doing this. Grizz Tony is getting Sam Darnold, Jalen Tolbert, and Jameson Williams, and he is sending away Tyreek Hill, Anthony Richardson, and Josh Downs.
Yeah, another Tolbert trade.
Tolbert.
He's trying to sell him while he's hot.
I'm on the Mr. Ben doing this side though, man. 100%. I like getting Hill, Richardson, and Downs right there for that hodgepodge group. I think it's good.
Yeah, I still think there's some upside in Richardson. We got to worry about Darnold for next year with McCarthy. I do like Jameson Williams a lot, and I do like Jalen Tolbert, but to get Hill and then and I like Josh Downs. I mean, since Josh Downs has been back, he's been really, really good. So I agree with Sean. I think I'll take the Ben doing this side, but on the other hand, though, like I said, I'm getting to the point now where if it doesn't go good the rest of the year for Richardson, I might be a sell candidate and maybe selling him next year because he hasn't been very accurate. He can't stay healthy. And, you invested a lot of draft capital on this guy and he's just not producing for you. So what about you, Sarah?
Yeah. And I mean, right. And you were talking about him being glass a couple of weeks ago, Scott. And I think that's like a lot of the reason why he's not producing because when he's healthy, he's doing well. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely take the A-Rich side because, Tyreek is still Tyreek and A-Rich, we still want to see what he can do. And I think J-Mo is the only part where you're like, oh, crap, I don't want to give up him. But that's the whole reason that we're doing this trade is because he's getting J-Mo in return. Along with a win now, type of guy with Sam Darnold. But I definitely think this is a good example of, Grizz probably going like, get A-Rich off my team. I don't trust him anymore. And Mr. Ben doing this, being able to get A-Rich for a little bit less than he would have, before the season started.
Yeah. And Connor did make a good point. This is redraft. It might change my opinion a little bit.
Oh, it's redraft. Yeah, that's definitely different for Darnold.
My opinion a little bit, but I still don't. I still think I'm going to take the Hillside, but it's a lot closer.
Yeah,
me too.
Definitely agree.
Because I think this is probably like a classic example of Grizz Tony being in quarterback purgatory and wanting to get a guy that he's comfortable putting in his starter spot that he's not always going to goose egg him weekly. So he wanted to get rid of that like crazy up and down Anthony Richardson and get himself a nice solid floor, player with Sam Darnold. So
yeah, and like I said, and those 3 players that Grizz Tony got in return, it's not like he can't play. There's one he can't play. He can play all those guys every week. I mean, Tolbert is a flex play the rest of the way. So it's not like he sold a bunch of goods and didn't get anything in return. I mean, he got some players that are going to be in his lineup for the rest of the year. Yeah,
I definitely agree. I like you. I think that Tyreek Hill is still got more value than it seems like people are giving him credit for right now. But it depends on where their records are in the scenario they're in that league. It could be one of those win for both scenarios. Win for each team kind of scenario.
For sure.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna, like I said, Grizz Tony's done a good job in the redraft. He's you know, he has a lot of teams.
Like that after we sat there and highlighted all of the top scores he's in, right?
Yeah. So I think he knows what he's doing, but
Yeah.
I like I said, Mr. Ben, he's trying to buy low on those on the Colt players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even Tyreek too, without
yeah, especially
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
So this is a K Doggity Dog and Pablo One Escobar going back and forth here in a 12-team super flex.
Yeah, that looks like it's a redraft, high stakes redraft.
I believe so, yes. We've got James Conner and Garrett Wilson being traded from Pablo to K Doggity Dog in exchange for Justin Jefferson and Jerome Ford. So where are you guys at on this one? I'm leaning towards the JJ side a little bit, just because I think if you're not running back needy right now and you want to upgrade your wide receiver spot, and you can afford to give up a James Conner right now, I think that the upgrade from Wilson to Jefferson is worth it.
Man.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just gonna say if Rodgers wasn't Garrett's quarterback, it'd be a whole nother story. But this trade probably wouldn't go through that way. But questionable on like what Chubb is gonna do when he gets back. Is he gonna do anything? Is he gonna take a crap ton away from Ford? Or is he gonna get injured in 2 games after he comes back? So it's like a little worried about Ford, a little worried about Garrett. I think Connor is just like a beast with points, and I'll have to admit, I think I might like the Connor Wilson side a little bit better, because Wilson still could do some really good stuff. And I think Ford is going to get a lot less points. And I think Connor just gets such regular points that even JJ, I think I'd take the Connor side.
Ooh, Scott, you get to break the tie.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very even trade. But the way I break it down is when I look at a trade that's very even, I take the best player. And the best player in the deal is Justin Jefferson. I love James Conner. He's a beast, like Sarah said. But I want nothing to do with the Jets going forward. The Jets are a disaster. I don't want anything to do with any of those players on that team. And Jerome Ford, don't discount him out. Even if Chubb comes back, this guy he's an older back. He went through a major knee surgery. He's not coming in and getting 20 carries right off the bat. They're going to ease this guy in.
It's his third major knee surgery too.
Yeah,
it's not just
it's true.
There's a chance that the Browns, if they continue to go towards the toilet, they may just not play Chubb anymore and wait, and hold him back. So I think Deontay Foreman's going to be the one that's going to be the odd man out, and I think it's going to be at the worst a split backfield in Cleveland. So Jerome Ford's definitely going to be still involved in that offense, especially in the passing game. So even though I think it's really close, I'm taking the best player available, and it's JJ.
I just got to say though, like, just because the only reason even if Ford gets more snaps, like the fact that Cleveland is so bad, I just don't trust that there's a need to play. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the backs are going to do much.
No, it's a fair point, it is a fair point, because Cleveland's going in the wrong direction, and you may not want anybody on that team. So
yeah, Connor's just too consistent for me, but I get it. JJ's just a beast too.
All right. Next one we've got is this is in our Tiamat League. We've got Jimmy Wojo and Shawnee Mack 24 making a deal. Jimmy Wojo is getting Rome Odunze, Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Pitts in the 2025 first, and he's given up Goddard, Joe Burrow, Devontae Smith, and a 2025 fourth.
Ooh, I like this trade.
Ooh, a lot of moving pieces. Couple quarterbacks.
Yep.
This is a tough one. I think I have to lean the Burrow side because, like Scott talks about, best player in the trade, and I feel like you got to go with either Burrow or Smith as the best player in the deal.
What about you, Sarah? What are you looking at?
I'm going the other side. Number one, there's a first there. Number two, I like Rome Odunze a lot. I still think Kyle Pitts, I still haven't lost hope in Kyle Pitts. And Trevor Lawrence is obviously obviously Joe Burrow is better in the trade than Trevor Lawrence is, but I really like Rome's upside to become wide receiver 1. and I really like Kyle Pitts, and I love the first. So I'm willing to like give up Joe Burrow basically to get these pieces. I like it.
All right, Scott, breaking the tie again.
I hate, this is okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take Kyle Pitts and Goddard out of the equation because I think they're a wash at this point. So now I'm looking at Rome, Lawrence a first, Burrow a fourth, and Devontae Smith. So I'm not really going to worry about the fourth too much. So it's looking like Burrow and Smith for Lawrence a first and Rome. I know I've been like really down on Burrow all year, but he's having a tremendous year, and I do like the Slim Reaper a lot. God, this is really, really hard.
It's a good trade. It's very good.
I mean, it's a really, really good trade.
Good for both of them.
I want to know where that. I wonder where that first is at.
It's in the TMO. Maybe Connor can give us an update while he's looking.
Connor, do you know where this first is at? Because this is going to determine for me if it's a late first. If it's a late first, I'm keeping the Burrow side. If it's an early first, I'm taking the Lawrence side. Because I think if I have an early first, I can take another quarterback.
Yeah.
But if it's a late, I'm not going to get another quarterback, and I don't know if I want to. Okay, Connor's going to.
So, like, what's the cutoff for you, Scott? Like, while he's looking that up, what's the cutoff? Like, if it's like
1-5,
good, and if it's 106, it's no.
I want a top 4 pick.
Okay, so if it's 105 or worse, it's not for you.
I mean, technically, Rome is already, a top 4 pick, top 5 at least.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I can get a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think if I pick in the top 4 with the quarterbacks coming out, I think I can land a quarterback because there's going to be a player like like Mbuke or the other stud receiver for Ohio State. There's Junkins, the running back.
Again, I'm also wondering what Jimmy's other quarterbacks are too.
Jimmy's in 11th, getting the pick in Rome, but he is getting a later pick. It looks like. So he's in 11th place. So he's gonna have an early pick anyway from his pick.
So he wanted that first in Rome for rebuild too, probably.
Yeah. So the pick that's in this trade though will probably be a later pick.
Okay, so he's still got his pick. So I'm taking the Lawrence side then because I'm guaranteed another quarterback, and then he's going to get another draft pick. And assuming he's rebuilding, I'm going to take that side.
Okay, so that's one for you, Sarah, and one for me on Scott's side. You need a tiebreaker for the tiebreaker.
Yeah, thanks, Connor, for looking that up. We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
So this one is from Deathwing League. This is White Knight 1988 and Love John. Love John loves his trades.
Love John.
So
White Connor
88 is getting James Conner, George Kittle, Deontay Johnson, and Michael Pittman. And he's sending to Love John, Jake Ferguson, Jamison Williams, and a 2025 first.
Let's see.
Why does this always happen to you, Love John? I really want a trade that I could just be like, Love John destroyed this trade. He's an excellent trader, best guy ever. But
why did so many pieces?
Yeah, I don't
didn't even need to put Pittman in there.
No, I agree. I don't like it, Love John. It's too much. I mean, Pittman's still young. Deontay's still somewhat young. Kittle's still in his prime. Mm-hmm. And Connor's probably got maybe one more season. So, even though I do like Jake Ferguson and Javon and James first, I mean, you're getting a lot of pieces that you can put in your lineup immediately.
And that's for sure going to be a late first because, I mean, look at all those pieces.
Right. So I'll
take
the
though,
white.
Don. Keep trying, though, brother. We're going to get you there one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you take Pittman out and maybe add a second to the other side to Ferg, JMO, and a first or something.
Oh, how many more
this
trades?
Is one that I've been very excited to talk about.
Oh, our trade. I'm having trade remorse on this one. I take Sean's side.
I saw this one the other day. I forgot to comment on it.
So just so all you listeners out there know what we're talking about, this is a trade between myself and Sarah. We made a deal in one of our dynasty leagues, and it's a 12-team dynasty league that we do for Ballsville, so it's one of our Ballsville leagues. And I got my boy JA17 and a 2025 second, and I sent her Lamar Jackson and a 2026 third. So what do you guys think about this deal, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, Sarah, next time you make a trade like this with Sean, please call me, because I would have told you to put his feet to the fire and get the maximum return.
I honestly just wanted to straight up Josh for
No,
Lamar.
you have to put him to the fire. You know he wants Josh. You make him just give you extra. Make him give you extra, because
his counters are so mean.
He would have done it.
No, this was you sent this one, Sarah. Didn't you send this?
Yeah, because we were countering back and forth, and you said Josh in a second for Lamar, and I was like, well, maybe if I get a third, and then after it went through, I went, oh shit, Sarah, that's a 2026 third.
Oh, you didn't realize?
Looking. No, I didn't. I didn't realize you had already given up all your 2025 picks.
I would have just, if you would have swapped. I mean, they're both elite quarterbacks.
You better believe right now, all I'm hoping for now is that Josh just sucks for the rest of the season.
Because we are playing each other this week, and we are both in the top 1 and 2 spots in this league also.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is a really crazy trade for us to make right now.
Yep. Hey, look, I'm projected to win, but that's sleeper for you.
Sarah, I would have said this. I would have said, do not send him anything else. Give him Josh Allen and take the third and take Lamar Jackson and go to the bank and sleep a baby.
Yep, that's exactly what it should have been. You're right.
Yep. I would have told Sean, you're not getting Josh Allen. You're getting a naked Josh Allen. That's it. Nothing else.
He countered with Mahomes straight up, and I was not interested.
At first, that's what I sent. Right, was initially Josh Allen for Mahomes, straight up. That was my initial deal.
No, give me Jackson for Mahomes.
And then she wanted Lamar, and I know Lamar's at a high right now, so I did what I thought I should do and try to get max value for him. So
I truly believe Lamar is going to stay higher than Josh and as long as they're both healthy.
I mean, for this season, I
truly believe it.
I can see it for this year. I just don't think long term. I think Josh is still a better player, but that's just because I'm Josh Allen. I do. I don't think Lamar can throw the ball nearly as well as Josh.
Yeah. So for future reference, Sarah, if you ever trade any Bills to Sean, you make sure he pays maximum value.
Yeah. No worries. When Josh by the end of this season is going to end up with the most interceptions again.
If anybody wants to send me Josh Allen in the second for Lamar Jackson in the third, I will accept that offer without any worries. I will not argue with you. It'll be a nice, easy trade. So
I mean, I only regret it to a certain extent because, I'm doing really well in the league and Lamar is going to kill it. So I'm not really, it's not a big deal, but I'm going to regret it in the rookie draft next year.
In the rookie draft, just depending on who he trades.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a late second. That's for sure.
No, it isn't because it's tortoises.
Oh, that's right. You just tortoises. I have 3 seconds.
Trevor is in 8th place or something right now.
Yeah. It's tortoises. That's right.
Although I didn't look at that when I sent the offer. I swear I had no idea.
I think he's the only second I have is tortoises. I think that was the only second I had.
It was actually, I believe it was the only second.
So you'll be rooting for Tortoise, Sarah, the rest of the year.
You know it. Rooting for Tortoise and the demise of Josh Allen.
Sarah now has a reason to hate Josh all season.
All right. So how many more do we have? Because we're getting up against it.
1, 2. We have 2 more.
Okay, run through them.
Let's go.
So we've got another trade for C-Bomb and Gallows. We haven't heard Gallows' name in a while. It's good to see him back in the mix. We've got C-Bomb's receiving Tyler Lockett, Calvin Ridley, Breece Hall, and a 2025 second. And he is sending away TJ Hawkinson, Alan Losavas, and Brian Thomas. Those are his players there.
All right.
I don't like this at all.
Go ahead. You go first.
I like the C-Bomb side for sure. I think Breece Hall, he's buying Breece Hall at a low right now, and he's getting the second, and Ridley and Lockett are both valuable pieces for this year. So, I mean, Brian Thomas is the only really high-end side on that. If this is our league and it's not TEP, then Hawkinson's good, but I mean I wouldn't call him a high end player. So I got to go with C-Bomb.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Lockett and Josivac out of the equation because I think it's their wash.
It's a good pick.
So now you're looking at Hall, Ridley, and a second for Thomas and Hawk. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards Connors. Even though I'm not a running back guy, and it probably killed Connor to give away Brian Thomas Jr. since he's a receiver guy like myself to get Breece Hall. The only thing with Breece Hall though is, man, I'm still worried about the Braylon Allen effect, of in that being in that offense. But and I'm not crazy about Ridley. I think it's a little closer, but I'm gonna lean with Connor because the best guy in the deal is Breece Hall. Long term. I mean, we'll have to see what Brian Thomas ends up being down the road. But looking at this trade in a vacuum, the best player in the deal is Breece Hall. I'll take that side.
Yeah, me too. Where you at, Sarah?
I totally agree with you guys. But I have a very unpopular opinion about Hawk. Ken's not here, but I don't think he's gonna. I just don't think he's ever gonna play as good as he did before. I think he's great. He's gonna get a lot of looks, and he's gonna be solid. But I'm getting rid of him everywhere, and I'm just not a huge fan. So, yeah, I like the other side. I'm also not a big fan of Ridley, but to me, this looks like Breece Hall in a second for Brian Thomas, and the second kind of holds it over. But that's a close one for sure. But I'm
Sarah,
yeah.
When TJ Hawkinson comes back,
Yeah.
does he start 8 straight games?
Wait, is he even coming back this season? Is there going to be 8 games for him to play?
And that's the bet I have with Ken. The bet I have for a pub sub, when he comes back and starts his first game, he has to play 8 straight games. He has to start 8 straight games. If he misses a start, Ken loses the bet.
No, it's straight. Not if he comes back, misses a game, and then comes back for 8 straight games.
8 straight games from when he comes back this time.
No, he has to come back and play 8 straight games. He can't miss a game in between and then pick it up again. He's got to come back, start, and play 8 straight games.
I don't think so. I think I'd take your side on this one, Scott, because it's so typical in the NFL for them to bring these guys back too early.
That's
not me. I think he's going to play every single game once he's back, and he's going to be a fucking stud. And Scott's going to have to eat that pub sub in his golden block.
So I'm not involved in any pub subs, but I'd be willing to bet a pub sub that he is not going to come back as a stud.
No,
well, you have to find.
If Ken comes back next week, we'll bring that on the pod. We'll get a pub sub.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized now that I forgot because I've been paying too much attention, but that last trade between me and you, the Josh Allen one, I forgot to do this for myself.
That's funny. Our final trade of the day, because we're down to 20% battery, so we got to make sure we get this one done, right? C-Bomb and Echo FX. I don't even know if that's how you say that correctly, but we're going to go with Echo FX. They had a deal. They have Aaron Rodgers, James Conner, and Jordan Love going to C-Bomb in exchange for Patrick Mahomes and a 2026 first to Echo FX. Ooh.
Everybody getting rid of the Rodgers.
Everyone's getting rid of Mahomes.
Yeah, I think
no, for sure.
Jordan Love and James Conner.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to go that route on that side, especially if I was needy on quarterback and I could use that third depth quarterback as my backup, then I'm definitely going that route.
Same. And it's a 26 first, so you could just get that back later next year at some place.
Yeah. And we all know Scott's going to go with Jordan Love's side because he loves Love. So.
Yeah, I love Love too.
I love Love, but I also love Pat Mahomes. So, I mean,
and he
I
hates
guess
Rodgers.
I'm taking, for me, I mean, if the question comes down to is Jordan Love, what's his worth? Is he worth a single first or 2 firsts?
2.
Sarah, is he worth 1 first?
I'm sorry, Mahomes or Love?
Love.
I mean, the way he's been playing this year, I'd have to say 2. Or
Two
at least
first.
a first and a second, like a high second.
Yeah,
Okay.
first and a player or 2 firsts, and I'm in that range too.
Okay. Well, then, and I agree. I think Love's worth 2 firsts. So I like the deal for Connor because 2 firsts would be the first he sent over. And, I think Pat Mahomes is probably worth a little bit more than just a single first. But, if Rodgers is going to be his third quarterback, which I'm sure it is, I slightly lean the Love side. But like I said, it's just slightly.
Yeah.
If that was a 25 first, it might be a little bit harder. But yeah, with the 26 and James Conner involved, I like it.
Okay. Connor said we have some start sits in Discord.
Yeah, let me go.
Answer a couple of them real quick before we get out of here.
Yeah, while he's pulling that up, can I ask you guys? Let me ask you guys a question. What do you think about Pickens and what's going on with Arthur Smith and what he's doing to Pickens, like with his snaps?
I mean, he does that with he did that in Atlanta too. Look at London now; he's a stud.
Yeah.
and
So you think Pickens just going to be limited as long as Arthur's his coach?
Just going to be limited. I mean, that's just the way that he runs that offense. I mean, it's unfortunate. The Steelers are winning, so I don't think he's going to get fired. So it's just really all you can do at this point is if Pickens is a dynasty asset, you can just hold him because I don't think you're going to get any value for him on the open trade market. No one's going to trade for George Pickens.
Yeah, you hear that, Connor? My count is going to be a little different for you.
We got to start sit from Zoobs. He's asking Jaden Daniels or Burrow in a 12-team full PPR.
Okay, well, what I usually do when I'm trying to evaluate these start sits is I go to the Ballsville.com, Ballsvillegame.com or Ballsvillegame.com, and I look at the ultimate matchup tool that I put out every Wednesday. And I'm going to go to the tool right now and check out Daniels and Burrow and see where they're at. So Cincinnati right now is the number 19 matchup for quarterbacks against their opponent. So that's like right in the middle. And then we'll go to Jaden Daniels, which is number 9 matchup against Baltimore. And you can throw on Baltimore, so don't be afraid. So Jaden Daniels is my pick. What about you guys?
I'm in the same boat. I think Jaden Daniels over Burrow because Jaden's just looking like he's got what it takes right now. It's hard to sit him. It's impossible, in my opinion, to sit him. So you got to go with him. I'm playing him over CJ Stroud in the league for the same type of situation.
Look at you go. Yeah, no, yeah. Daniel's got too much upside.
Yep.
Right.
We have another one in the Discord that is James Conner or Chuba Hubbard in a half PPR league this week.
What was the 2? Connor and Hubbard?
Connor and Hubbard.
Connor all day for me.
I think the matchup will make it a little bit more enticing.
Who's Arizona playing?
So Carolina's at home against Atlanta. It's the number 8 matchup tool. Number 8 matchup on the tool. And then the other one was Connor.
Yep.
Connor's at Green Bay. And it is number... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I messed up. No, Hubbard is the number 23 matchup. Connor's the number 18. So I'll go with Connor.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Connor because he also catches passes. So even if they're stopping the run, he's going to get some short passes and he can just,
And I'm more confident that offense is going to be sustainable than I am in anything in Carolina right now, even with Dalton. So I'm going Connor is also. We have another one. You got to play one out of the 3. You've got Javonte Williams, Trey Sermon, or Cortland Sutton. And they're one of the 3 in your flex role.
Javonte
Williams, Trey Sermon, or Cortland Sutton.
Okay. Well, Javonte is number 24 in the matchup tool. Sermon's number 15. And Cortland Sutton is the number 24. So I am going to go with Trey Sermon.
Awesome. I think I end up going Javonte just because I like what I've seen from him more than I like what I've seen from Sermon. But, that's more based on just eyeball than it is on any numbers.
I just think that Sermon's going to get – it's going to be a high-volume play where Javonte still has others involved in that backfield where Sermons should be getting everything.
Yeah. The big question is are they going to stop, with A-Rich just coming back, are they going to be careful with him and not have him run so much and take that away from Sermon potentially? But I mean, yeah, it's definitely between Javonte and Sermon for me. I would probably personally, just like Sean said, just looking at it the way it is, I would probably put Javonte up there, but it would be tight. It would be close.
Yeah, and the point spread's only -1, so it means it's going to be a close game. So no one's going to get game scripted out. Even though it's not going to be a super high scoring game, the over/under is only 43. But Indy does have a implied team total of 22.5. So the Vegas is saying they're at least going to score 3 touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure Sermon should get 1.
Does it make a difference for you if Richardson or Flacco is quarterbacking?
No, it doesn't to me. Actually, it helps if Richardson is the quarterback, because usually those RPO quarterbacks tend to open more holes for the running back. If you remember when Rich was healthy, Taylor went ballistic, in that offense because of the RPO. Where if
makes sense,
if you have Flacco under center, there's no RPO, so there's no disguising of the football after the snap with the quarterback.
Yeah. I think unless you end up losing by only like a point or two, you probably are good with either of those running backs. But I mean, he's got a good point about Sermon.
And Thomas Redmond, welcome in, Thomas. He writes in, "You all rock." Thanks, Thomas. Glad you tuned in. Pass the word along to all your league mates about our podcast and our website. But he says Brian Thomas Jr. a must start at this point.
For sure.
Easy answer for me is yes.
Absolutely. I love him.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think, like we talked about earlier, I think he's taken over that number 1 wide receiving role in Jacksonville. And actually it'll help. I'm glad that is happening, because it's going to make Trevor Lawrence hopefully a little bit better and more efficient of a quarterback, having a stud to throw to.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, so, they have a clear connection.
Anything else before we
got
sign
one
off?
more? We got one more start sit to go over real quick. It's another one of those play one of the 3. So for a flex roll, you've got Romeo Doubs, Brian Robinson, or Darius Slayton.
Malik's still out.
What's that?
Malik is still out. You guys said, right?
Malik Neighbors is out.
Yeah. Slayton 8 last time.
So Green Bay is Dobbs will be the number 12 matchup against Arizona. The Giants, Slayton is the number 10 matchup. So they're pretty close. What was the third guy?
Brian Robinson, Romeo Doubs, and Darius Slayton.
Robinson.
Brian Robinson is questionable going. His game time decision in that game, which was the same situation last week, and he did play. But as much as you can throw against the Ravens, you can't run against them. So it's a 28th ranked matchup, which is the worst matchup this week. It's only 28 because we have teams on bye. So it's the absolute worst matchup for a running back this week. So I guess you just take your pick, Dobbs or Slayton. But Dobbs has a lot of competition in that receiving core. So as much as I've in the past told everyone that Darius Slayton sucks at football and played the song, I'm going to go with Darius Slayton this week.
He killed it last week without Malik.
Football. One guy throwing in the ball that sucks at football, and the guy catching it sucks at football, and you're still going to put it.
Hey,
I hate the quarterback. I hate the wide receiver.
What do I always say about the NFL? It's the National Fake You Out League.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely put Slayton in just based on what he did last week without Malik Neighbors. I mean, he really helped a lot of fantasy leagues out. So clearly Daniel likes him.
So yeah, okay. So that about wraps up today's show. We'll be back on Tuesday. Hopefully Ken will be back with his analysis. I want to give a shout out to Sarah. She's been on the pod a couple times now, and I just want to let everyone out there know that she's very knowledgeable at fantasy football, and it just shows that women can play this game also. So if you guys out there teach your wives, man. Teach them about football. Let them sit down and watch. Explain it to them. Get them involved because
that's what every guy wants is their wife sitting there next to him asking questions during football games.
Hey, if that gives me more time. That gives me more time to watch games. Then I'm all for it. So
thanks, Scott.
And then for you listeners, thanks again. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. Also, go to theballsvillegame.com for all your latest fantasy needs. The tools are updated every week. We have our all our scoreboards updated with our leagues. It's really cool to scroll through. We do a lot of work to it. So for my producer Sean, for my producer Sarah, for my co-host Sean, and to all the Ballsville community. And until Tuesday, have a good weekend, folks. We're out.
That's a wrap.